Oh man, you cannot make this up. This is just too unreal. So Fallout 76 has faced its host of issues, particularly where exploiters and hackers and cheaters are concerned. Last time we talked about a hack that allowed players to spawn whatever they wanted from within the Fallout 76 engine. Any asset in Fallout 76 could just be placed in the world willy-nilly. So things like Fallout 4's Prydwen, players would randomly find in the world, NPCs that can actually be turned into functional companions, but worst of all is, players could also spawn in any items and weapons into the game, and that gives them obviously an unfair advantage, and perhaps worse than that is the ability for players to create their own custom legendary items with custom legendary effects and spawn those into the world as well. Now, Bethesda was able to patch that exploit out within a matter of a few days, but within those days, plenty of players managed to produce plenty of these custom legendary items that are overpowered. And while Bethesda did manage to remove the impossible legendary items, the one with 5 stars and 5 legendary effects on them, the ones with 3 stars, which you can obtain through gameplay, the maximum being 3 stars if you obtain items legitimately. Those, apparently, Bethesda cannot distinguish between which ones are custom made by hackers and which ones were earned fairly by players who played the game and earned loot in a legitimate manner. So a lot of these custom weapons are still out there, and people still report finding NPCs and things like the Prydwen out and about. But as if all that wasn't bad enough, we are now dealing with another hack that is even worse. This is a hack that could potentially kill the game if Bethesda doesn't resolve this quickly. This is a hack that could ruin the experience for everyone. This latest hack, folks, essentially allows hackers to steal a player's entire inventory, weapons, items, junk, whatever it is. And we're not just talking about valuable weapons and items that players might have obtained through hours and hours of grind. We're also talking about atomic shop items, which cannot be traded, but still can be stolen by hackers. And these atomic shop items, cosmetics and whatnot, obviously they're items that players might spend real money on, and this is a huge risk players are taking essentially by participating in this environment, and if this is not plugged up, players are going to leave. There's just no point in playing a game where one day all the items that you have might just be gone, that some hacker, some douchebag might just take away. The following information comes from this Reddit user who published the following post, whose headline reads, "The hackers that spawned the Prydwen sent me a warning about the next devastating hack." And then from there, the user details exactly what this hack entails. This paragraph reads, "I had covered the hacks in a video a few days prior, speaking about how ridiculous it was that these things were spawned in, human NPCs and Prydwen. I was then contacted by the guy who hosts the video of the hacks. He gave me some info, and that was that. This morning I woke up to messages about this erect band guy and his new hack, a player inventory hack, allowing people who use it to pretty much treat other players like container and loot them. One of the guys even warned my Discord to stay off adventure mode. It is a lot to unpack, and I made a video explaining everything for those who are interested. Thanks." So here's the video in question. Here's footage of the hack in action. You'll see the player bring up their inventory. The weight right here is listed as 94 over 155, and as the player cycles through their inventory items, you'll see the number right here goes to 0, and all the items in the inventory are suddenly gone. That's because this other player in the background here stole those items. Now, I believe this is test footage, judging by the fact that this other player is just called player. This is just footage specifically filmed to demonstrate the hack. But yeah, this is what other players can do to you if they utilize this hack. Going back to this Reddit post, this user provided additional information about the hack's capabilities. So these bullet points read, "Trades are not needed. They are only added to show transfer took place." In other words, you can do this hack without starting a trade with another player. You can just walk up to anyone and then treat them as a container, use the take all function found in Fallout games, and just steal everything from them. The second bullet point reads, you can do this hack within 200 meters of a player, and you don't need to see them. So that's a pretty long distance. Someone can literally snipe steal your inventory. So that means that players who are playing fairly and aware of this hack cannot be on the lookout, because someone could just be way off in the distance, look at you, and then open up your inventory, and then take everything. And then the cherry on top is this third bullet point, which reads, Pip-Boy is taken because it is technically an item. Usually this is something that's locked inside your inventory, but this hack allows even that to be taken away, which is pretty ridiculous. Another video demonstrating this hack is from YouTuber Juicehead, and I'm gonna show you a snippet of the coverage that he did on this so you can see how this hack works and how fatal it can be for the game. So here we go.
So here I am in Fallout 76. Here's my inventory. I have some miscellaneous stuff. I got rid of most of my valuables to demonstrate this. Here's another player who does have the hack loaded, and then they steal my inventory. You'll see how all of my items are now gone. The only remaining ones are things that you can't drop, like quest items, certain keys that are not droppable, but even other stuff is stolen, like atomic shop items that typically you can't trade. As a better example, or more illustrative, here I'm actually holding a weapon with an atomic shop skin. That also can be literally ripped out of my player's hands, and then the other person can take that out and use it for themselves after gathering it out of their stash. And although we're standing right next to each other here, that isn't necessary. You can see if I move all the way back fairly far away, they can still steal all of the stuff out of my inventory.
So yeah, just to highlight once again what happened in the second half of this snippet, this player has an atomic shop item equipped, and you can literally see it get ripped off from the player's hand. Just like that. It disappears from the player's hand, and it becomes a part of this player's inventory. Now, once again, this seems to be test footage, but I can certainly imagine that there are people out there who might have been afflicted by this, and as the prominence of this hack grows, so will the number of cases where something like this happens. Now, at the very least, it would seem as though Bethesda is aware of this situation, according to this Reddit post. This 6th update reads, I was contacted this morning about 18 hours after posting this to inform me that Bethesda is now aware of this problem due to the story and my coverage. They are working on it from what I was told. At least prominent members of the community management team are on the case. Now, whether this is a simple fix or if it's going to take some time, I'm not really sure. From what YouTuber Juicehead has heard, this is a relatively simple fix, and hopefully one that Bethesda will stay on top and get on within the next few hours, within the next few days at most. Only time will tell whether Bethesda can fix this expediently. They did get on the previous hack involving spawning assets from the Fallout 76 engine fairly quickly, within a couple days. Maybe they'll do the same with this hack. But then again, the holidays are coming up. It's December 22nd. Christmas is right around the corner. At this point, surely, Bethesda's winding down and a lot of people are starting to take their breaks. And so the concern is that Bethesda won't have the staff there at the studio to be able to address this until the holidays are over. What I do know for sure is that this hack has to be treated as an emergency. It's something that has to be addressed ASAP, even more so than the previous hack that allowed players to spawn in whatever they wanted. Because if we start seeing a lot of cases where players' legendary items and all these things that they put a lot of time and money into to get, if we start seeing those being stolen, then players will simply quit the game. As far as the hacker side of things to this whole situation goes, here's Erectban, who hinted that, quote, I found something very fun to release on the 24th/25th. This could make Fallout 76 history. I don't think I can make it externally, so it'll be a DLL source. So this is hinting that Erectban, who is behind a lot of these hacks, might release a more easily implemented version of this hack come Christmas time. And then here's another user who asked the hacker, I'll be impatiently waiting. What is a DLL release? What will we need to run it? And then Erectban goes on to explain aspects of this hack that I'll obviously not get into for obvious reasons. Now, after all that, Erectban did express certain reservations, so he was quoted right here stating, "Never mind, too dangerous, I don't think it'd be allowed on this forum." And then when another user asked why too dangerous, any videos on it, he said, "Stealing somebody's entire inventory in less than 2 seconds, that'll get a lot of bad attention." And then additional context was added in this post from Erectban, which reads, "The intended use for the hack is for trading raid armor. I cannot stop players from abusing it to steal items." And finally, when word began to spread that the cheat is spreading, that we're seeing people employ this and use it in the game, Erectban said that it's not his, so it would seem as though certain hackers took some of the things that Erectban put out there and then made it their own and started using it for their own purposes, the people with a lot of technical know-how in terms of how Fallout 76 works and how it can be hacked. Now, from what I understand, at the very least, this hack is only just brewing. It isn't something that's super widespread, but word will eventually spread. Hacks will eventually be released in more simpler formats that are more accessible, that will allow players who even don't have as much technical know-how to just, boot up a file and implement the hack. So all around, this is a situation that has to be mitigated quickly before it festers and gets much worse, because the second we start hearing of a lot of these cases happening is the second that this game becomes too much of a liability for players to engage with. But even if this hack is fixed, one has to wonder what's next. This kind of situation has happened so many times with Fallout 76. It's proven to be such an unreliable, risky game that one has to wonder why take a chance on it when even over a year after launch, we still find ourselves in situations like this where players can get utterly fucked by the technical incompetence of this game. And yes, obviously, in part, this is hackers' fault, but Bethesda should have also released a game whose bones were strong, whose foundation weren't based off of a single-player game that's been retrofitted into a multiplayer game. The reason the spawning hack was possible is because that's a functionality from Bethesda single-player games. The reason this new hack, where you can steal any items from players and treat them as containers, the reason that hack is possible is because that's also a functionality of Bethesda single-player games, which have carried over inadvertently to the multiplayer in ways that are catastrophic. Recall that in games like Fallout 4, corpses are essentially treated like containers. You can store items, take away items, and I get the sense that the hack is related to that single-player functionality. There's also the whole situation when hackers managed to find their way into Fallout 76's dev room, featuring all the items in the game. That is also an after effect of Fallout 76 being adapted from the single-player engine, because games like Fallout 4 also have these dev rooms. Bethesda just didn't think Fallout 76 through. They had no idea how much it takes to run a multiplayer game. They just thought they could get away with retrofitting a single-player engine into a multiplayer one, but here are the results of that. And they thought they put in enough safeguards to mitigate potential exploits, but clearly not. And not to mention, once again, Bethesda clearly does not have the infrastructure to handle all this at the pace that this is growing. This game of whack-a-mole, they cannot keep up with the moles that keep popping up. So yeah, another day, another Fallout 76 travesty. This is why I haven't touched the game since months ago. It's just not a game that I want to risk playing, because I know that just when I think things are looking up, the game will find a way to just screw itself, to trip over and fall flat on its face, because it is just such a technically compromised product. But that's just one man's take on this situation. I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on this latest Fallout 76 hack in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update and discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. To be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.